A young black woman enters an upscale restaurant dressed casually, only to be humiliated when a dismissive waitress deliberately spills a drink on her, assuming she doesn't belong. The staff laughs. The mockery spreads. But as the woman calmly wipes herself off and asks to speak to the manager, the room falls silent. Because she doesn't need the manager. She is the owner. And everything is about to change. The chandelier light catches on crystal glasses and polished silver. The restaurant hums with quiet wealth, soft jazz, murmured conversations, the delicate clink of expensive cutlery against porcelain. White tablecloths stretch across the dining room like fresh snow. The front door opens. A young black woman steps inside, hoodie pulled up, jeans worn at the knees, sneakers scuffed from city streets. She pauses in the entrance, scanning the room with careful eyes. Her gaze moves methodically, left to right, table to table, settling briefly on the kitchen doors before returning to the hostess stand. The hostess's smile evaporates. Her hand freezes mid-reach for a menu. "Can I help you?" The woman steps forward. "Just looking around. We require reservations." The hostess's voice carries across the nearest tables. Heads turn. Forks pause mid-air. Before the woman can respond, a waitress approaches from the bar, blonde hair pulled into a severe bun, uniform crisp and impossibly white. Her name tag reads Brittany in elegant script. She carries a silver tray balanced on one palm, 3 wine glasses filled with deep burgundy liquid. "Are you lost?" Brittany's tone is saccharine, loud enough to travel. "This is Lumiere. Fine dining." The woman meets her gaze. "I know where I am." Brittany's smile sharpens. She takes another step closer, the tray tilting almost imperceptibly. "Then you know this isn't—" The tray tips. Red wine cascades down the woman's chest, soaking through the grey hoodie, dripping onto the marble floor in dark splashes. Gasps ripple through the dining room. The woman stands motionless, arms slightly away from her body, wine pooling at her feet. Brittany's hand flies to her mouth in mock horror. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." But her eyes glitter with satisfaction. You walked right into—" She grabs a napkin from a nearby table, dabbing ineffectively at the woman's sleeve. "These stains are so hard to get out." "That hoodie's probably ruined." Laughter bubbles from a corner table. A man in a suit whispers to his companion, not quietly enough. What did she expect, dressed like that? The woman Maya takes the napkin from Brittany's hand. Her voice is terrifyingly calm. "I'd like to speak with the manager." Brittany's laugh is sharp as broken glass. "The manager doesn't have time for walk-ins." She leans closer, voice dropping to a stage whisper. "Especially ones who damage property and cause scenes." Maya's jaw tightens. The wine seeps cold against her skin. 3 hours earlier, Maya Chen had been sitting cross-legged on her apartment floor, financial statements spread across the coffee table like battle plans. Morning light filtered through half-closed blinds, casting bars of gold across balance sheets and vendor contracts. She'd circled a number in red ink, the final payment on the restaurant lease made 2 weeks ago. 5 years of saving, 15 years of kitchen work, every dollar earned, every slight endured, every time she'd bitten her tongue when a chef took credit for her ideas, all of it leading to this. The apartment was small, but meticulously kept. Framed photos lined one wall. Maya in chef's whites at culinary school graduation, spatula raised like a diploma, her grandmother's weathered hand resting on her shoulder, pride radiating from every wrinkle. The day she'd signed the lease, standing outside the empty storefront, with keys clutched in her fist. Lumiere, French for light. Her grandmother had suggested the name. "You'll be a light, baby girl. Show them what's possible." Maya stood stretching and walked to the window. The city sprawled below, endless and indifferent. Somewhere out there, her restaurant was preparing for lunch service. Her restaurant. The word still felt surreal. She'd made a deliberate choice during the soft opening week. Remain anonymous. She'd hired a manager, conducted interviews remotely, signed documents through her lawyer. The staff knew the owner's name but not her face. She wanted to see how they operated without supervision, how they treated customers when they thought no one important was watching. Today was the reveal. She'd arrive unannounced, observe, then introduce herself properly. Build trust through transparency. She pulled the hoodie over her head, the same one her grandmother had given her before passing, soft from years of wear. Maya kissed the framed photo on her dresser. Her grandmother's eyes seemed to follow her to the door. "Wish me luck, Grandma." The apartment door clicked shut behind her. She had no idea she was walking into a war. The subway ride passed in a blur of strategy. She'd watch the hostess station first, see how walk-ins were greeted, then observe the servers. Did they treat all tables equally? The kitchen next, her domain where she'd spent most of her adult life. Finally, she'd reveal herself to the manager and start building the culture she'd envisioned, a restaurant where talent mattered more than pedigree, where dignity was non-negotiable, where people like her grandmother, invisible laborers who'd built empires for others, would be seen, valued, celebrated. Maya emerged from the subway into autumn sunlight. The restaurant was 3 blocks away. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She thought about her father briefly. Richard Chen, the investor who'd finally agreed to fund her after years of refusal. He'd made his skepticism clear. "The restaurant industry is brutal, Maya, especially for women. Especially for you." The unspoken words had hung between them. "Especially for someone who doesn't look like she belongs." She'd prove him wrong. She'd prove everyone wrong. Maya rounded the corner and saw it. Her restaurant, the sign elegant and understated. Exactly as she'd designed. Lumiere. Light. She straightened her shoulders and walked through the door she owned. Wine drips from Maya's hoodie onto imported Italian marble. The stain spreads like accusation. Brittany dabs at Maya's sleeve with theatrical concern, but her voice carries clearly to the watching tables. "This is a Michelin consideration establishment. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at—" She pauses, letting the implication hang. "Tell somewhere more casual?" A busboy appears with a mop, eyes downcast. He works quickly around Maya's feet, eager to erase the evidence. Brittany steps back, creating distance from the mess, from Maya. Maya's hands curl into fists at her sides, then slowly relax. She focuses on her breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. A technique her grandmother taught her during the worst moments. "Don't give them your anger, baby. Anger is currency. Spend it wisely." "I'd like to speak with the manager," Maya repeats. Her voice is lower now, controlled. "Please." Brittany exchanges a glance with the hostess. Something passes between them. Recognition, perhaps, or shared understanding. The hostess reaches for the phone, but Brittany waves her off. "The manager is very busy." Brittany crosses her arms. "And frankly, I don't think bothering him with this is necessary. No real harm done." She gestures to Maya's ruined hoodie. "We can offer you, let's see, $20 for dry cleaning?" A woman at table 6 pulls out her phone. The camera points in their direction. Maya notices. She also notices the 2 other servers who've emerged from the kitchen, watching the scene unfold, with poorly concealed amusement. One whispers to the other behind his hand. "I'm not leaving," Maya says quietly, "until I speak with the manager." Brittany's professional mask slips. Her mouth tightens. "Ma'am, you're causing a disturbance. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'll have to call security." "There is no security." Maya's words are precise, deliberate. "Not yet." "It's on the budget for next month." Brittany blinks. Confusion flickers across her face. "How would you get the manager now?" Something in Maya's tone penetrates. Brittany hesitates, her confidence wavering for the first time. She sees something in Maya's eyes, a certainty that doesn't match the stained hoodie and worn jeans. "Fine." Brittany spins on her heel. "But don't say I didn't warn you." She stalks toward the back office, heels clicking against marble like gunshots. The dining room remains suspended in awkward silence. Forks rest on plates. Conversations die mid-sentence. Every eye tracks Maya as she stands, dripping wine utterly still. A man in an expensive suit at table 3 leans toward his companion. Probably looking for a payout. That's the game now, his companion nods. They target nice places. Make a scene, claim discrimination, settle out of court. Maya hears every word. She's meant to. The comments are designed to travel, to build consensus, to transform her from victim to villain. She says nothing. Just stands, waiting. The kitchen doors swing open. A line cook peers out, then quickly retreats. The hostess fusses with menus, avoiding Maya's gaze. The busboy finishes mopping and disappears into the back. Maya counts her heartbeats. 73 before Brittany returns with a man in a charcoal suit. He's tall, early 40s, with the confident stride of someone accustomed to authority. Robert Mitchell, her manager, a man whose resume had impressed her enough to offer top-tier compensation. A man she'd never met face to face. His eyes take in the scene. Maya's stained clothes, the watching diners, Brittany's barely suppressed smugness. His expression remains neutral, professional. "Ma'am," he approaches with measured steps. "I'm Robert Mitchell, general manager. I understand there's been an incident. Please let me apologize on behalf of Lumiere." He shoots Brittany a look that promises later conversation. "This is unacceptable. We pride ourselves on excellent service for all guests." Maya watches him carefully. His apology seems genuine, but he doesn't ask for her side of the story, doesn't question Brittany's version of events. "I'm not a guest," Maya says clearly. "I'm Maya Chen. I own this restaurant." The words detonate like a grenade. Maya stands in the bathroom, staring at her reflection in the gold-framed mirror. Wine stains her hoodie from collar to waist, dark, spreading, accusatory. Her hands grip the marble countertop, knuckles pale with pressure. She's shaking, not from fear, from volcanic restraint. Behind her reflection she sees her grandmother. Not literally, memory sharp and vivid. Grandma Rose in her housekeeping uniform, shoulders bent from decades of labor for wealthy families who never learned her last name. "Invisible work, baby girl," she'd whispered once, folding someone else's designer clothes. "I clean their houses, cook their food, raise their children, but they look right through me." Maya closes her eyes. The bathroom is silent, except for the ventilation system's soft hum and distant kitchen clatter. She remembers every scholarship rejection letter, not the right fit stamped across her dreams, every loan officer who'd smiled politely while explaining why her business plan needed more development, every investor meeting where she'd been the only woman of color in rooms full of men who'd inherited their capital. She'd built Lumiere because of people like Brittany, people who measured worth by appearance, who granted respect like currency, abundant for some, scarce for others. The bathroom door is heavy oak. She'd chosen it herself during renovations, running her hands over the grain, approving the brass handle. The soap dispenser, Italian ceramic, custom-ordered. The lighting, warm Edison bulbs that made everyone look beautiful. Every detail curated, selected, paid for hers. She turns on the faucet. Cold water rushes over her hands. She scrubs at the wine stains uselessly, watching burgundy swirl down the drain. The hoodie is ruined, the same hoodie her grandmother gave her the Christmas before she died. "Keep you warm while you're building your empire, baby." Maya's throat tightens. She blinks hard against sudden tears. No, not here. Not now. She dries her hands on a towel, Egyptian cotton thread count she'd researched obsessively. Takes a breath, then another. Her grandmother's voice echoes, "You can't control how people see you, Maya, but you control how you see yourself." Remember that. Maya straightens her spine. She'd walked in deliberately underdressed, testing her staff. She'd wanted to see their true character. When they thought no one important was watching, well, she'd certainly learned. The question now, what comes next? She studies her reflection again. Wine-stained, yes. Humiliated, absolutely. But standing. Still standing, a memory surfaces. Culinary school final exam. The head chef had questioned every choice she made. scrutinized every technique, pushed harder than he pushed anyone else. She'd wanted to quit, to scream, to walk out. Instead, she'd plated her dish with steady hands and received the highest marks in the class. That same steel core resides in her now. Maya pushes away from the sink. The bathroom door swings open on whisper-quiet hinges. She'd insisted on quality hardware throughout. No detail too small. No corner cut. She walks back into her restaurant. The dining room has changed in her absence. Conversations have resumed, but quieter now, weighted with awareness. Eyes follow Maya as she emerges. Some curious, some hostile, some carefully averted. Robert stands near the hostess station, speaking in low tones to Brittany. Both turn as Maya approaches. Brittany's expression is unreadable. Robert's is carefully professional. But Maya's mind is elsewhere, pulled back through time. She's 7 years old, sitting in the kitchen of a mansion in Brookline, while her grandmother scrubs someone else's floors. The lady of the house sweeps through, silk robe, coffee and bone china, and doesn't acknowledge Grandma Rose's presence. Doesn't see her. Treats her like furniture. Why doesn't she say hello? Young Maya had whispered. Grandma Rose had smiled sadly. Some people only see what they expect to see, baby. They expect a housekeeper, so that's all I am, invisible. But you're Grandma Rose, you're important. To you, yes. To God, yes. But to them? She'd shrugged. I'm a service, not a person. That moment had crystallized something in Maya, a determination. I will never be invisible. She'd watched everything in those houses. How the wealthy moved through space, how they wielded power without raising their voices, how respect flowed to them automatically, while others had to beg for scraps of dignity. Grandma Rose had been her anthropologist guide. Watch, baby, learn. Someday you'll build something they can't ignore. Maya had spent 15 years in restaurant kitchens after culinary school. She'd endured every indignity, chefs who stole her recipes, male cooks who accidentally burned her when she passed, managers who promoted less talented staff because they fit the culture better. She'd saved, planned, strategized. She'd read every book on restaurant management, studied every successful opening, analyzed every failure. She'd worked doubles and triples, sleeping 4 hours a night, existing on coffee and ambition. The funding had been the hardest part. Banks wanted established track records. Investors wanted proven concepts from proven people. Her father, estranged since she'd chosen culinary school over law school, had been her last resort. Richard Chen had made her beg. She'd presented her business plan 5 times before he'd agreed to review it seriously. Even then, his investment came with conditions, quarterly reviews, their approval rights on major decisions, a moral character clause that could trigger immediate funding withdrawal. I'm doing this because you're my daughter, he'd said coldly. Not because I think you'll succeed. The restaurant industry is brutal. You're not ready. She'd taken his money anyway. She'd had no choice. Lumiere had been her answer to every slight, every assumption, every door slammed in her face. A place where she made the rules, where worth was measured by skill and character, not appearance or connections. She'd hired carefully. Robert Mitchell had come from 3 Michelin-starred establishments with glowing references. The kitchen staff had been selected through blind tasting tests. She'd judged their work without knowing names, genders, backgrounds, but she'd made one critical decision: reveal herself slowly. Let the staff operate without the owner's presence, see who they really were. Brittany had passed 3 separate interviews. Her references had been impeccable. Her resume sparkled. This moment, this wine-stained, humiliating moment, was the real test. Maya stops 3 feet from Robert and Brittany. The restaurant hums around them. Muted conversations, clinking glasses, the soft jazz still playing from hidden speakers. Everything continues as if the world hasn't just tilted on its axis. Robert speaks first. Miss Chen, I apologize. I've seen your signature on documents, but we've never... He stops, recalibrating. I should have recognized the situation immediately. Brittany's face has drained of color. She opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. I didn't. You weren't dressed like an owner. Maya's voice is scalpel sharp. Dressed like someone who belongs here? Silence expands around them. Nearby tables have abandoned all pretense of eating. This is dinner theater now, unfolding live. Maya turns to Robert, dismissing Brittany entirely. How long has she worked here? 3 weeks. Since opening? Any complaints? Robert hesitates. The pause tells Maya everything. Nothing formal. A few concerns from kitchen staff. What kind of concerns? Ms. Chen, perhaps we should discuss this in the office. What kind of concerns, Robert? Maya's tone leaves no room for deflection. Robert's jaw tightens. Comments about ethnicity. Treatment of busboys. One of the line cooks mentioned she refused to take orders from him because... He stops. Because? Because he's Mexican. She assumed he didn't understand English properly. Maya's hands curl into fists. She forces them to relax. And you didn't fire her? I was documenting incidents. Building a case before taking action. I wanted to be certain, legally protected. You wanted to cover your ass. Maya's words land like stones. While she harassed staff. While she humiliated customers. She gestures to her wine-soaked hoodie. While she did this, Brittany finds her voice. It was an accident. You walked into, I didn't know you were... She's gasping now, drowning in excuses. Maya pulls out her phone, swipes through to the security camera app. One of her first installations. Cameras covering every angle. She navigates to the feed from 30 minutes ago, finds the moment, hits play. The phone screen shows Brittany approaching with the tray. Shows Maya standing still, hands at her sides. Shows Brittany's deliberate tilt of the tray. The calculated trajectory of the spill. Shows the smirk that followed. Maya holds the phone toward Robert, then toward Brittany. Still an accident? Brittany's mouth works soundlessly. A fish on land gasping. The woman at table 6, the one who'd been recording, stands suddenly. I have footage too, from my angle. Happy to provide it if needed. She looks at Maya with something like admiration. For whatever it's worth, you handled that with more grace than I would have. Other diners murmur agreement. The tide is shifting. Maya pockets her phone. Robert, we need to talk. My office now. She turns to Brittany. You come too. And bring your things. She walks toward the back without checking if they follow. Her footsteps echo against marble. Click, click, click. Each step territory reclaimed. The kitchen doors swing open as she passes. Faces peer out. Her line cooks, her prep team. People whose work she knows intimately from their application tastings. A young Mexican man in chef's whites meets her eyes. Something passes between them. Recognition. Solidarity. Maya pushes through to the office. A small room with a desk she assembled herself. A chair she'd found at an estate sale. Her grandmother's photo in a simple frame. She sits in her chair. Her office. Her restaurant. Her rules. Robert and Brittany enter seconds later. Robert closes the door. The click of the latch sounds like a judge's gavel. Maya folds her hands on the desk. Let's talk about what happens next. The office air feels thin, pressurized. Brittany stands with her back against the wall, arms wrapped around herself like armor. Robert positions himself near the door. Neutral territory, Switzerland between warring nations. Maya opens a drawer, pulls out a folder. Her movements are deliberate, unhurried. She spreads papers across the desk. Employee contracts, policy manuals, the harassment protocol she'd crafted with her lawyer. Brittany. Maya's voice is conversational, almost gentle. Tell me what happened out there. And it was an accident. The tray slipped. I didn't mean... Maya holds up her phone, the paused security footage visible. Try again. Brittany's face crumples. Tears well in her eyes. Real or manufactured, Maya can't tell. I've been working double shifts. I'm exhausted. I thought you were... I didn't know... You didn't know I was the owner. Maya leans forward. But you knew I was a customer. A human being deserving of basic respect. I'm not... Brittany's words tangle. She shifts tactics, voice hardening. You set me up. You came in dressed like that deliberately. This is entrapment. Robert stiffens. Brittany, that's not... How many others? Maya interrupts. Her eyes never leave Brittany's face. How many customers have you treated this way? People who didn't look wealthy enough? Who didn't fit your image of who belongs here? Silence stretches. Brittany's tears stop as suddenly as they started. And staff, Maya continues. Robert mentioned concerns. Tell me about the line cook. Diego, Brittany's jaw sets. He barely speaks English. I can't understand his accent. How am I supposed to... He's bilingual and has better culinary credentials than half my kitchen. Maya's voice remains steady. Try again. This is ridiculous. I made one mistake. Maya stands, turns her laptop toward Brittany. More security footage queued up. Brittany rolling her eyes when a black family enters. Brittany steering an elderly Asian couple toward the cheapest table despite open prime seating. Brittany laughing with another server. Her mouth forming words the camera can't capture, but body language screams. One mistake. Maya's question hangs in the air. Brittany's face flushes red, then pale. She looks to Robert for support. He stares at the floor. You're firing me. Brittany's voice goes flat. That's what this is. Yes, the word lands with finality. For a moment, Maya feels something like victory. Justice served. The system working as designed. Then Brittany smiles. It's a terrible smile, sharp-edged and knowing. You can't. Maya's stomach drops. Excuse me? You can't fire me. Brittany straightens, confidence flooding back like water into a broken dam. My uncle is Harold Martinez. He sits on the restaurant licensing board. He's also... She pauses for effect. Close personal friends with Richard Chen, your primary investor. The office tilts. Maya grips the desk edge. Brittany continues, sensing blood. One call from Uncle Harold about hostile work environment, about a black owner discriminating against white staff, and your licenses get flagged for review. Your funding gets questioned. Health inspections, fire safety, liquor licensing, everything gets scrutinized. She leans forward. Is that really what you want? For your brand new restaurant? Robert's face has gone ashen. Brittany, you can't threaten. It's not a threat. It's reality. She pulls out her phone. I'm being very reasonable here. Accidents happen. Let's all move past this professionally. Maya's phone buzzes on the desk. A text from her father. Heard about an incident at the restaurant. We need to talk. Call me immediately. The room spins. Someone's already reached him. Already planted their version of events. Brittany sees Maya's expression change, sees the text. Her smile widens. Shall we discuss my continued employment? Perhaps with a raise for the emotional distress I've suffered. Maya stares at her phone. Her father's text message blurs, refocuses, blurs again. The investor agreement sits in her filing cabinet. She'd read it so many times she has sections memorized. Clause 7.3. Investor retains right to withdraw funding if business operations reflect negatively on investor reputation or involve credible claims of discriminatory practices. Her father had insisted on that clause. Protection, he'd called it. For both of us. Now it's a noose. Brittany checks her own phone, types something quickly. Uncle Harold's very responsive. He'll want to hear my side of things. She looks up, eyes glittering. Before any rash decisions are made, Maya's hands are shaking. She presses them flat against the desk, willing stillness. Her grandmother's photo watches from the corner. Those weathered hands, that knowing smile. What would you do, Grandma? But she knows what her grandmother would say. Sometimes you bend so you don't break, baby. Live to fight another day. The restaurant represents everything. 5 years of saving, 15 years of kitchen work. Her grandmother's sacrifice. Her own blood and exhaustion poured into every detail. One phone call could unravel it all. Licensing reviews take months. Funding withdrawal would trigger immediate closure. Media attention would destroy her reputation before she'd even established one. Robert clears his throat. "Ms. Chen, perhaps we should get out." Maya's voice is barely audible. "I'm sorry. Both of you, get out. I need to think." Brittany hesitates, surprised by this capitulation. "So we're agreed?" "I keep my position. We forget this unfortunate—" "I said get out." Something in Maya's tone brooks no argument. Brittany grabs her purse, shoots Robert a triumphant look, and exits. Robert lingers at the door. "Miss Chen—" "Close the door behind you, Robert." He does. The click echoes like a cell door slamming. Maya sits alone in the office she built. Her restaurant hums beyond the walls. Oblivious diners enjoying food she conceptualized. Ambiance she designed, standards she set. None of them knowing how close it all is to collapse. Her phone buzzes again. Her father, "Maya, call me now." She should call. Should explain. Should manage the situation before it metastasizes. Instead, she opens her desk drawer, pulls out the original business plan. Worn pages, coffee-stained edges, margins filled with notes in her grandmother's handwriting. Grandma Rose had reviewed every section, asked questions, pushed Maya to think deeper. On the final page, her grandmother had written, "Remember why, baby girl. When it gets hard, and it will, remember why." Maya closes her eyes. Outside, Brittany is probably texting her uncle. Shaping the narrative, positioning herself as victim. The wine stain on Maya's hoodie has dried stiff and dark. Physical evidence of humiliation, but also proof. Her laptop sits open, security footage paused mid-frame. Brittany's smirk frozen in digital amber. Maya's phone rings. Her father's name fills the screen. She lets it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th ring, she answers. "Dad." His voice crackles with barely contained fury. "What the hell is happening at your restaurant?" Maya disconnects the call after 2 minutes. Her father's words still echo. "I told you this would happen. I told you that you weren't ready. Fix it or I'm pulling funding." She sits in darkness. She'd turned off the office lights at some point. When, she can't remember. Outside, the restaurant continues its evening service. Laughter drifts through the walls. Someone's celebrating a birthday. The staff sings. Her restaurant. Her dream, slipping through her fingers because she dared to enforce basic human dignity. Maya's head drops into her hands. For the first time since her grandmother's funeral, she lets herself cry. Not loud, not dramatic. Silent tears that track down her face and drip onto the wine-stained hoodie. She thinks about Brittany out there, probably celebrating. Thinks about Diego in the kitchen, working under someone who mocked his accent. Thinks about every person of color who's been told they don't belong, who've swallowed pride to keep jobs, who've smiled through humiliation because survival demanded it. She thinks about her grandmother scrubbing floors for people who never saw her. "I see you, Grandma. I've always seen you. But what good is seeing if you can't act? What good is ownership if power can be stripped away with one phone call to the right person?" The office feels smaller now, walls pressing inward. Maya stands, moves to the window. The city spreads below. Thousands of lights, millions of people, everyone fighting their own battles. She's just one more casualty in an old war. Her phone sits dark on the desk. No more calls from her father. He'd said what he needed to say. Maya picks up her grandmother's photo. Those eyes hold decades of wisdom, of surviving in a world designed to diminish her. "What do I do?" she whispers to the image. The photo doesn't answer. But Maya remembers something her grandmother said once, years ago. "They can make you bend, baby. But only you can make you break." Remember that. A soft knock on the door. Maya wipes her face quickly. "What?" The door cracks open. Robert's face appears. "Miss Chen." "May I come in?" "I told you I needed to think." "I know. But there's something you need to see, please." His tone stops her. Not apologetic, not defeated. Something else, urgent, almost excited. Maya gestures him in. He closes the door behind him, pulls up a chair. "I may have a solution," he says, "if you're willing to fight." Robert places his phone on the desk between them. Before you hired me, I managed 3 upscale restaurants. 2 of them dealt with toxic employees who used connections as shields. He opens a file folder on his phone. I've learned to document everything. Maya leans forward. What are you talking about? Brittany isn't the first person to pull the connected uncle card on me. But she's the sloppiest. He scrolls through files, screenshots, voice recordings, time-stamped notes. I've been building a case since week 1. Staff complaints about her behavior. Customer interactions that raised flags. Harassment claims that mysteriously disappeared. He hands Maya his phone. She scrolls through complaint logs. Brittany refused to serve table 12 because they looked homeless. Turned out they were tech millionaires. Another entry. Diego filed verbal harassment complaint, withdrew it next day. Brittany seen talking to him afterward. He looked scared. Why didn't you tell me this before? Maya's voice is sharp. Because I wanted you to see the full pattern yourself. And because, he pauses, I suspected something like this would happen. Employees like Brittany always escalate when confronted. Always pull out their trump cards. I wanted you to face that threat with ammunition, not just accusations. He takes back his phone, opens another file. 3 years ago, Harold Martinez's niece was fired from a restaurant in Boston. She threatened licensing retaliation then too. The owner backed down, kept her employed. 6 months later, she caused a health violation that shut them down for 2 weeks. Another uncle connection covered it up. Maya sits straighter. How do you know this? Restaurant management is a small world. We talk. Robert's smile is grim. I made calls after Brittany mentioned her uncle's name. Found the Boston owner, got the full story. He's willing to testify about the pattern if needed. Hope flickers in Maya's chest. Dangerous, fragile. That doesn't stop Harold Martinez from making our lives hell. Or my father from pulling funding. No, but it changes the narrative. Robert opens another file, a recording. From 3 days ago. Brittany didn't know I was in the kitchen when she said this. He presses play. Brittany's voice fills the office. These people need to learn their place. I don't care if they have reservations. If they don't look right, they don't belong. My uncle runs half the licensing in this city. Management won't touch me. Another voice, the other server from earlier. What if the owner finds out? Brittany's laugh. The owner's some Asian woman who got lucky with Daddy's money. She'll fold the second Uncle Harold makes a call. They always do. The recording ends. Silence fills the office. Maya's hands are shaking again, but not from fear. From fury, from vindication. How many more of these do you have? 4 recordings, 12 written complaints from staff, 5 documented customer incidents, and he pulls up a final file. A harassment claim from Diego that includes text messages from Brittany threatening his employment status if he didn't withdraw the complaint. Maya stands, pacing. Her mind races through possibilities, consequences, strategies. This could work, but my father, let me handle that. Robert's voice is steady. I've been in this industry 20 years. I know how to present a case to investors. Your father cares about his reputation, yes, but he cares more about being associated with a successful restaurant. If we frame this correctly, if we show him you're protecting his investment by enforcing strict standards, he'll back you. And Harold Martinez. That's trickier, but I have contacts at the licensing board. People who know Martinez's reputation for interference. If we file a formal complaint first, document everything, we put him on the defensive. He can't retaliate without proving our accusations true. Maya stops pacing, looks at Robert, really looks at him. Why are you doing this? You could have just let her stay. Kept your job secure. Robert's expression softens. Because I've worked in too many restaurants where people like Brittany set the culture. Where talent gets crushed by connections. Where owners compromise their values to avoid conflict. He meets her eyes. You built something good here, Ms. Chen. Worth fighting for. I'd like to help you keep it. The office door seems less confining now. Maya can breathe again. Okay, she says. Let's fight. Maya calls an emergency staff meeting. Within 20 minutes, every server, cook, busboy, dishwasher, and host crowds into the dining room. It's 9:47 p.m. Late enough that dinner service has ended, early enough that people haven't scattered home. Brittany stands near the bar, arms crossed, expression smug. She assumes this meeting is about damage control, about compromise. She's already texted her uncle. Maya saw her doing it. Robert dims the lights, sets up the projection screen normally used for special events. Maya stands before her staff. Some faces she recognizes from application interviews. Others she's never met. Hired through Robert during the soft opening. All of them watching her with varying degrees of curiosity, concern, confusion. Some of you learned tonight that I'm Maya Chen. I own Lumiere. Her voice carries clearly in the quiet room. I apologize for the deception. I wanted to observe operations without my presence affecting your behavior. I wanted to see who you really are. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Eyes dart to Brittany. Tonight I learned something important. About this restaurant's culture. About who we are when we think nobody's watching. Maya nods to Robert. He starts the first video. The security footage plays on the screen. Brittany approaching Maya, the deliberate tilt of the tray, wine cascading down. The room watches in heavy silence. When the video ends, nobody speaks. That's me, Maya says quietly. Your owner. Humiliated in my own restaurant. She nods again. Robert plays the second video. Brittany rolling her eyes at the black family's entrance. The third, her steering the Asian couple away from prime seating. The fourth, her conversation with another server, mocking a customer's appearance. Each video lands like a punch. The room grows smaller, the air thicker. Brittany steps forward. This is taken out of context. Selective editing. You're trying to... There's more. Maya's voice cuts through. Robert? The audio recording plays. Brittany's voice fills the room. These people need to learn their place. My uncle runs half the licensing in this city. The owner's some Asian woman who got lucky with Daddy's money. She'll fault. The dining room erupts. Gasps, angry mutters, shocked exclamations. A line cook, Diego, stands suddenly. She threatened me. Told me I'd be deported if I didn't drop my complaint. His voice shakes with barely controlled anger. I'm a citizen. Born in Texas, but she assumed... I know, Maya says gently. Robert showed me everything. Other staff members speak up. A hostess. She told me to seat certain people away from the windows. Said it was bad for ambience. A busboy. She called me Manuel for 2 weeks. My name is David. Another server. She said I got hired for diversity quotas, not talent. That I should be grateful. The testimonies pile up like evidence at a trial. Brittany's face goes from red to white to gray. This is a setup, she hisses. You're all ganging up because... Maya's phone rings. She answers on speaker without checking the caller ID. Yes? Her father's voice fills the room. Maya, I spoke with Harold Martinez. Brittany's smile returns. A drowning woman grabbing at driftwood. Richard Chen continues. He called me furious about his niece's termination. Said you're making a terrible mistake. That there would be consequences. The room holds its breath, I told him. Richard's voice hardens. That my daughter doesn't make mistakes. That if she fires someone, she has documented cause. That if he or his niece try to interfere with her business through licensing retaliation or media manipulation, I will pull my investments from every venture his firm touches. I will make it my personal mission to expose his pattern of nepotistic protection. Silence. Then, I also told him that I've retained lawyers specializing in civil rights violations, that if his niece attempts any form of retaliation, we'll file complaints with the state licensing board about his interference and conflict of interest. Brittany's mouth falls open. Maya, I haven't always believed in you. Her father's voice softens almost imperceptibly. I thought you'd fail. I expected to lose my investment. But I've watched you build this place. Read Robert's reports. Seen your attention to detail, your standards, your vision. A pause. You don't need my protection, but you have it anyway. Do what's right. I'll handle the fallout. The line goes dead. Maya pockets her phone, turns to Brittany. You're terminated. Effective immediately. You have 5 minutes to collect your personal belongings and leave. If you're not gone by then, I'm calling the police for trespassing. Brittany opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. She looks around the room for allies. Every face turns away. She grabs her purse from behind the bar, movements jerky with rage and humiliation. At the door she spins back. You'll regret this. All of you. Diego stands. Then David. Then the hostess. One by one, the entire staff rises, a silent wall of solidarity. Brittany's face crumples. She flees. The door swings shut behind her. For a long moment, nobody moves. Then Diego starts clapping, slowly at first, then faster. Others join. The applause builds until it fills the dining room. Thunderous, cathartic cleansing. Maya's eyes burn with tears she won't let fall. 3 weeks later, Maya stands in the kitchen during pre-service prep. The evening rush hasn't started yet, that precious hour when the restaurant holds its breath before the storm. Diego plates a test dish, slides it toward her. New sauce. What do you think, chef? She tastes, closes her eyes. Brilliant. Add it to tonight's specials, he grins. No hesitation anymore. No fear in his eyes. The changes have been systematic, comprehensive. Mandatory anti-discrimination training for all staff. Not corporate checkbox training, but real workshops led by experts. An anonymous reporting system with direct lines to both Robert and Maya. Weekly staff meetings where concerns can be voiced openly. The team dynamic has transformed. People smile more. The kitchen flows like water. Servers move with confidence. The busboys joke with the line cooks. Everyone knows the owner's face now. Maya works the floor regularly, talks to customers, learns names. Word spread about Brittany's firing. Local media picked it up. Restaurant owner fires discriminatory employee, faces down threats. The story went viral in hospitality circles. Some praised Maya's courage. Others warned she'd made enemies. But something unexpected happened. Reservations tripled. People wanted to dine at the restaurant, where the owner stood up for dignity. Applications flooded in from talented workers, tired of toxic environments. Robert appears at her elbow. We're booked solid for 4 months. And, he pulls up his phone, 3 Michelin reviewers have requested reservations under pseudonyms. I know their patterns, Maya's heart skips. How certain are you? 90%. She nods slowly. The recognition she'd dreamed of. Earned now through excellence and principle, not compromise, her father texts occasionally. Brief messages, good press, keep it up. Not warm, not affectionate, but present. It's more than she's had in years. The wine-stained hoodie hangs in her office, framed. A reminder of the moment everything crystallized. Proof that standing firm sometimes means standing alone, but never truly alone. Maya moves through the dining room as doors open for the evening service. The chandelier light catches on polished silver. White tablecloths stretch across the room. Everything ready. She straightens a fork at table 6, the table where that woman recorded Brittany's harassment and offered to help. Maya had comped her entire meal the next week. The first customers arrive, a young family, kids dressed in their best clothes. The hostess greets them warmly, leads them to a prime window table. Maya watches from the kitchen doorway. This is what she built. Not just excellent food or elegant ambiance, but radical dignity. A space where everyone belongs. Her grandmother's words echo, "Build your own power, baby girl." She did. And it's just beginning. Maya arrives at the restaurant before sunrise. She likes these quiet hours. The city still sleeping, the dining room empty and full of possibility. She makes coffee in the kitchen, stands at the front window watching dawn color the sky. She thinks about Brittany sometimes, not with anger anymore, with something closer to pity. People raised to believe their connections make them invincible rarely learn until they fall. She wonders if Brittany learned anything, Or if she just found another job where her uncle's name opens doors. The incident wasn't about one bad employee. Maya understands that now. It was about systems, the invisible architecture that determines who gets respect, who gets dismissed, who gets seen. Systems built on assumptions so old they feel like truth. Her grandmother had said once, "You can't control how people see you, baby, but you control how you see yourself." Maya had walked into her own restaurant deliberately underdressed. Day test and experiment. She'd wanted honest reactions, wanted to see who her staff really were. She'd expected to learn about them. Instead, she'd learned about herself, that her worth wasn't conditional on circumstances. That ownership wasn't just about having her name on documents. It was about embodying her values when it cost her everything. The restaurant opens in an hour. Her staff will arrive, talented, diverse, human. Each face tells a story of someone given a real chance. Not charity, not quotas, just opportunity measured by skill and character. This is the legacy she's building. Not just Michelin stars or profit margins, though those matter, but something deeper. Proof that dignity isn't negotiable, that excellence and ethics aren't mutually exclusive, that the right thing and the smart thing can be the same thing. She unlocks the door. Morning light spills across marble floors she chose, touches walls she painted, reflects off windows she cleaned herself during renovations. Her reflection stares back, confident, clear-eyed, unshakable. Wine-stained hoodie and all, she'd stood her ground. Sometimes that's all you can do. Stand, refuse to move. Trust that firmness is its own form of power. Diego arrives early as usual, waves through the window. She lets him in. "Ready for another day, chef?" Maya smiles. "Always." They move into the kitchen together, the heart of everything she built, where talent speaks louder than assumptions, where worth is measured by what you create, not what people expect you to be. Outside, the city wakes. Inside, Lumiere prepares to shine. This is what ownership looks like, not just authority but responsibility, not just power but purpose, not just a business but a statement, carved in marble, written in menus, embodied in every interaction. This is my place. These are my standards, and nobody, not investors, not connected uncles, not anyone, will make me compromise on what matters. Maya ties her apron. The kitchen hums to life around her. This is just the beginning.